one of the people on the flotilla was Iara Lee, and she joins us now. Iara, welcome to the Young Turks.
Hello, good evening. I'm not hearing you so well.
Okay, well, we'll try to work on that. What we're going to do, Iara, first, before we talk to you, is show the video that you have from footage on the Mavi Marmara, and then we want to come back and talk to you about it.
All right.
All right, let's watch that.
I want to first thank the United Nations Correspondent Association for organizing this event on such short notice. My name is Iara Lee. I'm a dual U.S.-Brazilian citizen of Korean descent. I'm a filmmaker and a human rights activist. I decided to join the Freedom Flotilla after going to Gaza a few months ago and seeing firsthand the devastation there. The Gaza Freedom Flotilla was on a humanitarian mission. We expected to be deterred from delivering our aid to Gazans, but we did not expect to be attacked. At 11 p.m. we saw the two Navy ships. We thought this was going to be during the day and closer to Gaza. But they came in the middle of international waters and basically kidnapped us. People were like slingshots, poles, chairs, whatever they could get hold of. It was very disproportionate. We were never expecting full-blown commandos coming as if we were in a war. I myself was prepared to go to jail. I was just not prepared for all the killing. Was this a lynch mob moved by hatred of Israelis, or was it a cross-section of humanity moved by the plight of Gaza? Did we lay a trap for the Israeli commandos, or did they unnecessarily attack us? Did we take them by surprise, or did they take us by surprise? Do you see a premeditated ambush, or do you see some passengers using items at hand to protect themselves from an unprovoked assault by heavily armed commandos?
We have no guns here. We have civilians taking care of injured people. Don't use violence. We need help for the people. We have many injured people. Please don't attack. We need help.
All right, Iara Lee is now with us, who was speaking that video. Iara, let me ask you a question that I don't know the answer to. I know that every major news network, cable news network, every network you can imagine here in the United States ran the Israeli Defense Forces video of the people swinging the clubs, etc. Do you know how many people networks ran this video that you show, which shows a completely different perspective?
Well, unfortunately, the mainstream media decided to totally pretend it doesn't exist while they show the IDF material ad nauseum, and they just loop it around and repeat it, even after many journalists came forward with investigations that they were doctored material. The mainstream press never rectified and re-explained to the audience or the viewers or the listeners that this material that they've been playing over and over was all fake, you know. And it just shows the situation where we are. You know, this country is obviously very pro-Israel. The United States is the country that provides the weapons. Therefore, when I come forward with this kind of other side of the story, people just pretend it doesn't exist. Fortunately, there is the internet, and there is independent media, there is investigative reporting. So when we uploaded the footage on the internet on the first weekend, we had over 1 million viewers from all over the world, and they kept reposting, and it went viral. So, you know, when you calculate the YouTube and the Vimeo and the websites and the Facebooks and Twitters and all these things, it was over 1 million. And it just shows also that you can't really suppress the truth. And but we are grassroots, you know, we have this very small capability of controlling the mainstream media, but we just do our work, and little by little people get to see and reflect on what really happened.
Well, you know, thank God for the internet, so people can at least, if they search it out, see the other side. But, of course, the mainstream media already showed the edited version, the Israeli version, to hundreds of millions of people. And
I know.
The fact that they won't give context on this is egregious. But nonetheless, so let's start from the beginning. What were you doing on the Flotilla?
I'm a filmmaker. I've been filming in many different conflict countries, like 25 countries the last 2 years, basically always looking for creative resistance movements. So I've been filming musicians, photographers, dancers, calligraphers, you name it, how people use creativity to resist war and promote diplomacy and global solidarity. So I felt the flotilla was a very creative way of resisting unjust law of siege. And even before they had all the logistics organized, I was already supporting behind the scenes. And then when we finally got all the logistics done, I said, I'm definitely coming with my cameraman, and we'll be interviewing the passengers, and we'll make a short film, and so forth. So I went as an activist, as a humanitarian worker, and as a filmmaker. And unfortunately, they confiscated all our footage, but luckily we were able to at least get the most important one, which was the attack, so the world could see, you know.
Can you tell me how you got the tape out, or no?
You know, everybody was trying, so, you know, we basically hid under the underwear, my cameraman, and then we managed, but most people were, you know, hiding in the shoes and the bra and, you know, everywhere, and a lot of people got caught, but, you know, they had to deal with like hundreds of people, so obviously they were not very thorough. The people at the security forces there, the airport, and that, they were all young people that probably didn't even want to be there, you know.
Right.
So we managed to get the little SD cards. Obviously, we were filming with the bigger cards, but when the situation happened, I told the cameraman we better use the small SD cards because it will be more discreet, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So we're talking to activist and filmmaker Iara Lee. She was on the Freedom Flotilla on the Mavi Marmara that got boarded by the Israeli Defense Forces. So who organized the flotilla, Iara? Many
countries were involved, and as you know, we had a ship from Greece, one from Kuwait, one from Algeria, and I started with the American boat, the Challenger, but they broke down, so in the middle of the ocean we transferred to the Mavi Marmara. And I was happy because it was a bigger variety of nationalities and people from all walks of life. And I knew it was going to be the action boat, but I never thought it was going to get that extreme, you know.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean that it was going to be the action boat?
Well, because it was the biggest passenger boat, and it was the biggest representation of nations, so I knew they were not going to let us go. So I expected, you know, to be thrown in jail or maybe like, you know, shooting in the air to scare us, or even the methodologies they use with all the other boats like tear gas and rubber bullets and so forth to intimidate us. I know in the past they rammed the boat, and so I knew it could get to that extreme, but I never thought they were going to come and start killing and murdering people. That was just like beyond anybody's imagination.
So,
but the Israelis are like that, you know. They always surpass anybody's imagination. I lived in Lebanon in 2006. I saw the cluster bombs, you know, and Gaza. I was there in January. I saw the destruction of infrastructure where they use white phosphorus. And they never cease to amaze me with the brutality. They seem to always figure out ways of being more and more brutal, and this just has to stop, you know. So,
Iara, so what was the battle plan? I mean, I guess in this case, that wound up being literal. Did you guys plan, and did they tell you as the passengers on the board, did they plan to go into Israeli water to try to break the blockade, and did they expect that they would get boarded, but they just didn't expect it to go this extreme, or what was the idea behind it going in?
Well, as I said, I mean, we were kind of naive. I mean, I remember the women were instructed to scream because, you know, they said, oh, if the women scream, they get a little frantic, you know, and the guys were supposed to push and, you know, whatever, you know.
They were supposed to push what?
Yeah, like if someone comes, you know, try to push them, don't let them board the ship, you know, with the hands. And I'm like, oh, my God, how naive we were, you know. At the end, you know, they were using any makeshift items that they could get hold of, you know, as you saw. I mean, I was not even hiding in my footage, you know. People were using poles and chairs and whatever they could get hold.
When did they make that decision?
This is legally called self-defense, you know. If you're attacked by military people as if you were in a war, legally you have the rights to protect yourself. And as you saw, we even captured 3 soldiers, and we didn't kill them. At the end, one of the doctors on the boat treated the soldiers, you know, because we thought maybe they would emulate, because our passengers were bleeding to death, and we kept saying in the megaphone, we need medical assistance. And we thought, okay, so here is the situation.
Yeah, when did they decide to go, instead of just pushing, to grabbing rods and chairs and everything else?
I don't know exactly, but, you know, when they started being attacked, because it was very fast. I mean, I was very surprised that they were coming with the Zodiacs, and I could hear the bullets already, you know. And it was a mixture of, rubber bullets with the live ammunition, and it was just chaos, you know.
How do you know it was live ammunition?
What is that?
How do you know it was live ammunition?
I didn't know for sure what it was. I just heard the shots, and afterwards people were analyzing the footage, and obviously when we had the autopsies where the 9 people killed were found to have 30 bullets, and a lot of them in people's heads, then it was obviously evident, you know. But I am myself not an expert on video forensics, so a lot of people are playing Sherlock Holmes, and a lot of people are going through my footage and analyzing frame by frame, the audio, the visual, and so forth. And
but yeah, why did you guys make the decision to even push the guys that were coming on board? Isn't the normal, and I don't know, you tell me, but isn't the normal boarding procedure that once they board you, you're done? Weren't you worried that was going to cause further altercation?
But these people were coming and they started murdering people, you know, so you had to kind of do something. I'm just actually very happy that we showed restraint and didn't kill the captured soldiers, because obviously that would be really bad, that we would be breaking our nonviolence vow, you know. But
Iara, as you tell
kind of
like story,
push it and, you know, use makeshift items at hand to kind of protect yourself. By the law, this is considered legal, you know.
No, I understand.
What is not legal is to have these commanders come, you know, or these Navy ship soldiers come as if it was a war. That was completely disproportionate. That was completely illegal. It was international waters, and they came with the intention of murdering people. And they didn't do that with the other boats. The other boats, I saw people bleeding with their noses, with the rubber bullet, you know, and tear gas, and all these injuries. But in our boat...
Iara, we're talking to Iara Lee. She was on the Freedom Flotilla that was trying to break the Israeli blockade of Gaza. You know, I'm partial to some of what you're saying, but there's a couple of things that I don't get. One is why start the confrontation? You see what I'm saying? It seems like, from what you're saying, the other boats did not plan to push or do any kind of confrontation. I know it's disproportionate. That's a whole other story. I wrote a story about how the American citizen got executed, basically. He got shot in the head multiple times. I get that. But why start the pushing? Didn't you guys think that would obviously start a confrontation, and you're starting a confrontation with the Israeli Defense Forces? That's not going to turn out well.
Well, the other boats were also pushing, you know. The other boats were also trying to protect the bridge, but the soldiers that invaded those other boats, they were injuring people, you know. Like one of the girls got her head smashed on the boat floor and so forth. So they were brutal too, you know. And people were pushing, but I guess it was more controllable because it was not like hundreds and hundreds of people, you know. People
right,
were
plus then you
mocking
get the rods, etc. And then, but look, I got to follow up on that. Once you captured the soldiers, didn't you know that you were about to be in a world of hurt? I mean, what are you doing capturing Israeli soldiers? That's crazy.
Well, can you imagine the panic when you start seeing your brothers getting killed in the head? I mean, getting shot in the head. I mean, it's just like I'm actually very surprised that, you know, they disarmed the soldiers once they got hold of their weapons. And that was a very intelligent thing to do because
no, I don't think
the
so.
heat of the moment, you know, is the human nature of trying to like defend yourself and getting to the same extreme. So
no, Iara, see, here's the thing. I mean, it was, I guess, smart once they grabbed the weapons of the soldiers not to use them because you guys want to be nonviolent. But on the other hand, you've got the confrontation, and once you take their weapons, of course they're going to take it to the next level. I'm not excusing it, and they shouldn't have killed those people, all right? And it was disproportionate. But I'm just, so then let me ask you here as we run short on time. Again, I want to go back to who organized. Who made these decisions? Who made the decision that there was going to be a confrontation? Who made the decision to escalate it to the bars, etc., and to grabbing the weapons? Do you have any idea?
No, and I could not even say that it was a premeditated thing. You know, I mean, I'm sure the men on the boat they were not going to be ready to just like, you know, cross their arms and be killed. So you know, it's just kind of a natural impulse that when you see people next to you getting shot in the head, that you try to at least push them or kick them or, you know, whatever you have. If you have a chair next to you, you'll use that because you don't want to see this happening.
I hear you, but who shot first is so important because if they come in using live ammunition, then okay, everybody's in a panic, I get it. But if they didn't come in using live ammunition, well, then the situation is a little different. But, you know, you're saying you're not sure how that went down.
I am not an expert on weapons, and I actually have been asking, I've been begging that the whole world make the pressure to get this investigation to happen in independent fashion. I mean, how pathetic is it that Israel commits crime and they're going to investigate their own crimes? I mean,
well, that I agree with 100%. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Unfortunately, Iara, we're out of time. But Iara Lee is an activist and a filmmaker, and she was on board. And thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.